So we are in a state that is very blessed to have so many state parks and state lands and public lands and natural areas. And I'm going to be talking about our 9 of our 75 state parks and state recreation areas tonight. Right down here, this is the zone we're going to be working on. There are 9 parks in the Duluth North Shore area. I want to acknowledge that all of this property is part of the 1854 ceded territory. So we are living on land that was granted to us by the Ojibwa back in 1854. A side note on that is that all tribal members can get free access to Minnesota state parks. And if you are wondering how to do that, check with your treaty authority office or search online for the details on how to get that going. But you can get a free annual pass. We start on the southern end with Cooke State Park. Cooke is considered to be America's first big investment banker. He invested in railroads and all sorts of other things. He was trying to make Duluth a new Chicago. He lost his fortune in the Great Panic of 1873, but built it back up again. Great Northern Power Company, now Minnesota Power, took over his investment in the Thompson Dam, which is just on the edge of Cooke State Park. The company then donated some of the first land that they had to create this park. It was established in 1915 and it is almost 9,000 acres. It's a very large park. This is a map like you would get at the state park to go on your hiking trails. And it just shows Thompson Dam and the river going down this way. There's the hiking club trail. Every park has a hiking club trail. I'm going to highlight each one of those. It's called the Silver Creek Trail. It's 3.5 miles. And they're all chosen for their particular beauty and their overviews and their sights and things like that. There is a nature store at the visitor center. St. Louis River, people have been coming to see the highs and lows of the St. Louis River for a long time. They always want to know how high is the river and will it flood? For many centuries and beyond that, people have been worried about St. Louis River flooding. Back in 1924, the CCC built the first bridge, this first swinging bridge across the St. Louis River. The current bridge that's there is bridge number 5. They keep washing out. Bridge number 5 washed out in the 2012 floods. And this bridge is fully accessible. So people with wheelchairs and walkers and stuff like that can get out in the middle of this bridge and enjoy the view of the river. Here's an old postcard. This is bridge number 2. It was finished in 1934. Lots of camping and lodging opportunities at Cooke. There's over 80 campsites. It's a lot of campsites at Cooke. 2 group sites that can be rented out for scout groups, church groups, family groups, that kind of thing. There are 5 camper cabins. I've stayed in these and they're very, very simple and very, very charming. They're just really nice. They have just a couple-year-old bath and shower building. So that's all brand new. And there are backpacking sites and sites accessible in the winter. There's cross-country ski trails, winter fat tire biking trails, summer mountain biking trails, lots of groomed opportunities in the wintertime, and they also rent snowshoes. There's direct access from Cooke State Park to the Willard Munger Trail for bicycles and for snowmobilers in the winter. There are naturalists. There's 2 of them at Cooke State Park. They provide a wide variety of different things, different opportunities for people to get into. They do a lot of archery down there. Summer, winter, there's all sorts of things going on at Cooke. This is the inside of the River Inn Interpretive Center. This was the last CCC project in Cooke. It was finished in 1942. The stone is gabbro, comes from West Duluth. It's a public space for warming up, for picnicking. There's bathrooms there. There's interpretive displays. It's a location for interpretive programs to meet. It is not rentable for private events, though. Then there's Oldenburg Point. There's two beautiful picnic areas in the park. Oldenburg Point is one of the most famous ones. It's right along the highway and gives you just soaring views of the St. Louis River. There's some historical things in Jay Cooke State Park. The old Thompson Pioneer Cemetery is still there. Graves are from 1862 to 1892. And the old Thompson Town Site is also in the park. One of the things Jay Cooke is known for is it's like many state parks is the diversity of organisms that live there. And one of the things it has to offer is hemlocks, eastern hemlocks. It's the farthest west population, eastern hemlocks in the world. And they're in a scientific natural area in Jay Cooke. It's been part of the park since the beginning, 1915. And some parts of the scientific natural area can be hiked and others are off limits without a research permit. So that was really quickly Jay Cooke State Park. Now, are there any questions about Jay Cooke? If not, we can just continue. All right.
Yep, I don't see any yet.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Gooseberry Falls is said to be named for Sieur de Grossier. Grossier means gooseberry. He was a French explorer that came up and down the shore. But what's interesting is that the Ojibwa name, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Shaban Imikan Isibi, also means Gooseberry River. So it could just be that they heard it translated as gooseberry and they said, hey, let's name it after this guy. It's the same name. It was established in 1937. One of the main things they were trying to do is remove all the currants and gooseberries, which might be another source for the name, from the park. They're a host plant for white pine blister rust. They were ineffective in doing that, but it was a big part of the CCC project there. The park is about 1,700 acres. It's one of the state's most visited parks. They get 750,000 visitors there every year. It's also got a very large and well-stocked nature store in the visitor center. The hiking club trail at Gooseberry Falls State Park is a Gitchagumi hiking trail. It's 1.2 miles with Lake Spear overlooks, and there are 69 campsites in Jay Cooke. They're known for the waterfalls. The lower, the middle, the upper, and the fifth falls are all very, very sought after sites. The upper and the middle falls are accessible, meaning you can take a wheelchair or walker down to that area. There's some ice climbing in the winter, and the Gooseberry River, just took a look at this picture compared to this picture. It's the same falls. High water, spring melt, heavy rains. This thing really gets crazy fast. Again, an old postcard. We aren't the first people to want to see beautiful things. That's kind of a human condition. The visitor center has very modern interpretive displays inside of it. They're some of the newest in the state. They have a very big nature store. It's a rest area, so that the wing that we're looking at here, this wing on the left, is open for weary travelers at any time of the day or night. And there's an indoor fireplace that is lit in the winter. There's the entrance to the nature store. There are interpretive programs, naturalist programs at Jay Cooke as well. Wide variety of things going on there. You can check the website of each state park to see what's been scheduled. Lots of hiking trails inland from Highway 61, views and vistas again. Lake Superior shoreline really dominates this park, though, I think, between the waterfalls and the shoreline. That chain fence on the right is a CCC safety feature so that you wouldn't fall over the cliff edge into the lake. But that picnic table base and lots of other structures in Jay Cooke in Gooseberry were built by the CCC. Bike trails, so access to the Gitchagami bike trail. And there are mountain bike trails in the summer. There are ski trails. A lot of the inland ski trails Inland trails are converted to ski trails in the winter. There's snowshoe trails you can hike on. There's a snowmobile connection to the North Shore Trail, lots of winter opportunities. So Gooseberry was the CCC camp, as we mentioned. There are 2 rentable shelters for reunions or weddings. The structure on the right I find kind of interesting. It's a water tower, early water tower for the campground. These shelters can be rented for weddings or reunions or anything like that. Very rustic, very lovely. Take a look at that guy. There is an app. There's just a few state parks. They originated with a naturalist here at Gooseberry Falls State Park. You can download this app and take your own tour of the park with lots of naturalist information along the way. Lots of deer come to the bird feeders in front of the park. Do we have any questions about Gooseberry Falls State Park? All righty. Split Rock Lighthouse is the next one up the shore as we motor on up Highway 61. The state park was established in 1945, but the lighthouse itself was built in 1910. And this was in response to a really deadly storm in 1905. Lots and lots of sailors washed overboard, 30 some shipwrecks. There's a great book called So Great and Terrible a Storm that talks about that storm. Pretty amazing. Decided they need a lighthouse there. It is the 5th most visited state park in Minnesota, and it's 2,200 acres in size. 20 cart-in campsites. There is a brand new, if you've seen that construction along 61 last couple summers, there's a brand new campground, a 70 unit campground going in there, opening up in June. There are backpack campsites. The hiking trail club is the club trail. Hiking club trail is Corundum Mine Trail. There was an old mine there. Nature store, there's snowshoe rentals at Split Rock. The Split Rock River Loop, which is a really popular trail to hike. I just wanted to mention that there is no bridge at the top of the loop. So if a few years ago you were able to hike that actually disappeared again in 2012. The Split Rock Lighthouse is probably the most photographed subject on the North Shore. They run Minnesota Historical Society managed tours there. There's a fee to get in, but it's a lovely tour, and just a beautiful lighthouse up on an anthracite cliff. Here's some early photos of the lighthouse. Where it was going to be situated there. That's where it is, being constructed here. In 1910, the lighthouse opened up. There's a view down the stairs and up to the top of the Fresnel lens. They still light up occasionally throughout the year. There was a mine, North Shore Abrasives Company. It was along the same time as 3M was starting up in the Tettegouche area that some geologists said there was corundum on the North Shore. It turned out it was anthracite, which is way too soft for grinding wheels and sandpaper. So it was a big failure. Lots of shoreline. Down along this shoreline here, there's a covered and enclosed picnic shelter that can be rented out. Biking year round, whether it's mountain biking in the summer or fat tire biking in the winter. And the Gitchigami Trails right there. This is up on top of Day Hill. There's some story about some man who was going to build a mansion up there to appease his lady friend, and she didn't want to move up there, and so that's as far as he got. A lot of these North Shore streams are known for their steelhead fishing and salmon runs. That's another thing you can do in almost all of these parks up the North Shore, because we all have runs of salmon. So the name Split Rock for Split Rock Lighthouse, if you hike up the trail from the kind of the wayside rest at the river, hike up the river trail, you'll find this big, almost like a monument, Split Rock. But another theory is, if you look at this aerial view, here's the Split Rock River coming into the Lake Superior there, and look at this Split Rock. And it's thought that the water levels were lower back when these ships were passing up and down the shore, when the explorers were checking things out. and that this actually might be the origin for the name Split Rock. Not sure. Any questions on Split Rock? All right. Tettegouche State Park. It's almost 10,000 acre park. It's the 4th most visited state park in the state. There are 6 inland lakes. Some of them are trout lakes. It was established in 1975, but prior to that, there was a smaller Baptism River State Park that got started in 1945. It had no amenities, just a few trails. You just parked on the side of the road. That was about it. But in 1979, it became a park. There's nearly 50 campsites, including cart-in sites and 2 group campsites. The hiking club trail is Shovel Point, the hike to Shovel Point, which is 1.5 miles round trip. And we have a nature store there at Tettegouche. Lots of waterfalls here as well. This is the High Falls. We have the High Falls, the Ilgen Falls, 2-step falls, and the Cascades of the Baptism River. This High Falls is the highest waterfall at 63 feet, completely within the state boundaries. When we get up to Grand Portage, we're going to talk about their higher waterfall that they share with Canada. Palisade Head is a very popular photography spot, and Shovel Point as well. Rock climbing, it's some of the best rock climbing in the Midwest. There's a lot of rock climbing that goes on along both of these cliffs. And because of these cliffs are here, we get peregrine falcons. Post-recovery from the DDT crash back in the 60s and 70s, Tettegouche State Park up on Palisade Head was the first natural nesting site for peregrine falcons in the entire Midwest. And we get between 2 and 3 pairs there every summer that successfully hatch chicks out. And there's a study that's been going on this population of peregrine falcons that is the longest, probably one of the longest studies of this species ever. Big new visitor center opened in 2014. There's a rest area 24/7, nature store, and an interpretive hall. On the back side of the interpretive center is the fireplace and an amphitheater. You can buy some firewood and have yourself a little weedy roast there if you want. There are naturalist programs that are going on. I try and put out a wide variety of different things. One of the things we do here is we have art shows. When this new visitor center was built, before my time even, it was built with this gallery space on the walls. And so we have been doing monthly art shows. They've been put on hold for pandemic reasons, obviously. We're going to try and start them up again in June. So the first Friday of the month, we have a reception. We're trying to have a reception with the artist, and you get to meet the artist, and then the art hangs there for a month. Then we go up to Tettegouche Camp, up on top of the hill, kind of on the backside of the park. There are 4 cabins that are for rent. They were, oldest ones were built in 1911. They're all log cabins. It's a 1.7 mile hike in with all your stuff. Got to remember that. There's firewood provided and a canoe provided for each cabin in season. You're not going to use a canoe in the winter. And then there's another cabin called the Ilgen Falls cabin, which you can drive right up to, which is more just like a home. This is the boathouse out on Micmac Lake. This is where you put your canoe in to go canoeing. If you're not staying at camp, you can, though, through the visitor center, rent a canoe. We have 4 canoes that can be rented up there, and includes life jackets and paddles. The wintertime, there's lots of recreation kind of stuff to do. There's fair number of miles of snowmobile trails through the park. Some of them are ATV trails in the summer, and they connect to regional other trails that you can do those things on as well. We have really nice ski trails. There's snowshoeing opportunities. We rent snowshoes as well. There's also the Lake Superior Water Trail that goes all the way up the shore, and at every park there are some campsites only for kayakers and canoeists. It goes from Duluth to Pigeon River, and there's campsites along the way. Some of these parks do have a deer hunt, and it's to help manage the herd. And so during deer hunting season in November, the park is closed. So only people who have applied for a special permit can be in the park at that time, except for the shoreline is open during that time because we don't allow hunting on that side of the road. Cooke, Gooseberry Falls, Split Rock Lighthouse, Tettegouche, Cascade River, Judge C.R. Magney, all have park hunts. And as of this year, hunters in the park are going to be required to use lead-free ammo only. So no lead ammo. Our campground is pretty well known for its winter camping. We are one of the few parks to have a heated shower building in the wintertime, which is an awful nice thing when you're camping. And so we get a lot of yurts and winter tents, hot tents, even RVs that come in the wintertime and camp. We also have I run an annual winter camping workshop up there where we have as many as 20 or 30 people learn how to do it, and then they do it, and it's free. So if you're interested in winter camping, check that out next year. Any questions on Tettegouche?
Yes, hold on, Kurt. It looks like Jenna has a question. Jenna, go ahead and unmute yourself and go ask.
Hey, Kurt, just a quick question. Tettegouche is one of my favorite state parks. I love them all, but just wondering if there's any more wheelchair accessibility around Tettegouche that I don't know about besides the paved trail up to the two outlooks or overlooks, I should say.
Tettegouche is a tough one. It really is. There's just some trails around the visitor center, and that's about it. There are long-term plans, and when you're working with the state, that can mean really long-term plans to make an accessible trail up to the high falls, which would be really amazing. But right now, mainly just because of the topography, I'm sorry to say, it's just not very accessible. There's just no other way to say it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there wasn't some part I was missing or someplace I could get to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
But okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Kurt, we have another question from Morris.
Two-part, Kurt. Would you mention something about the Palisade Valley addition, which you've kind of alluded to, but
Yeah.
on the why we have snowmobiles, and also would you mention about the nature play area and the intention to have a handicap accessible area there for especially young people.
If you couldn't figure this out already, Morris is the president of our Tettegouche State Park Friends Group. So he's plugging some stuff there. The Friends Group is really active, doing lots of stuff, and they're always looking for new people to show up and to help out with programs and events and things like that. We are building a nature play area, which will be sort of a non-competitive, not directed area out in the nature with different elements that kids can play on. Really unstructured, really fun stuff. A lot of hard work going into that. I'm going to quick mention the Palisade Valley thing. Back in the late 70s, North Shore Mining, the big plant in Silver Bay at the time, was dumping taconite tailings into Lake Superior on the assumption that they would all just sink to the bottom of these deep canyons in the bottom of Lake Superior and be gone. But there's some asbestos-like fibers in those tailings that started showing up in drinking water as far away as the South Shore. So they had to find an on ground, not in the lake, place to put this. And that's when milepost 7 was developed as a very large settling pond for these waste products. One of the first propositions was to put that settling pond in Palisade Valley. And Palisade Valley is hard to get to, not very easy to get in there. Skiing is probably the easiest way to do it, and that would be in the winter. And it's just gorgeous. And so I'm very pleased that there was a fight to save that valley. And as long as they were saving it, it's a long story, but it wrapped up a whole bunch of nearby properties, including Tettegouche Camp, and made a larger park. I could go on for an hour just about our park, so I got to get moving on. We're ready to go? All right. George H. Crosby Manitou State Park. Not really on the beaten path. It's up the Kramer Road, County Road 7, up out of Finland. It does reach down just almost to Lake Superior on 61, but you can't access any of it from Highway 61. You got to go at it from Kramer Road. And it's about 7,000 acres, and there's a lot of land there that not many people get to. So if you want a wild experience, that would be it too. It's a hiker's park. All the campsites are hike-in only. There are 22 sites, I think. Gives a true backcountry experience. Benson Lake is the lake in the park, and that has trout in it. I think Splake right now. The hiking club trail is the middle trail to the Humpback Trail. It's kind of a loop. It's about 3 miles. It brings you right to the Cascades. A beautiful set of waterfalls on the Manitou River. And it's right on the hiking club trail. Quite rugged terrain, definitely a hiker's park. There are some campsites right on the lake that you can, I've seen people camping there and fishing right from their campsite. There's a really cool boardwalk. It's a 1 mile loop around the lake. It's on a boardwalk that goes underneath these ancient cedars, and they actually have to route it around trees and all that kind of stuff. A lot of snowshoers and backcountry skiers like Crosby Manitou State Park. There's no ski trails, but people do camp there in the winter as well. And it's a fact that George H. Crosby Manitou State Park is the snowiest state park in Minnesota. There's more snow depth there than in any other state park. Questions about George H. Crosby Manitou State Park? How do you get friends? I see the chats here. How do you get involved with the Friends of Tettegouche? Morris.
I'm on.
How do they?
How do they get involved with the Friends of Tettegouche, Morris?
Best way right now is to go on our website, www.friendsoftettegouche.org, and check us out there. Information on how to volunteer, how to become a member, some gorgeous photography by Jill Bime, and just check us out.
Yeah, it's a fun group.
Our brochures are at the park too.
Mm-hmm. Good. No questions here? No more questions? Move right along to Temperance River State Park. On the Temperance River, it's about 5,000 acres in size. The name is actually a pun. The temperance movement, like in the 1910s, 1920s, was about not drinking, right? That's the temperance movement. Well, the river was named after that because there is no gravel bar at its mouth. It has no bar at its mouth. It must be the Temperance River. I didn't make that up. That's the real deal. Named by geologists of all people. It was established in 1957. The hiking club trail is the Upper Falls trail to the east side, on the east side of the river. It's about 2 miles long. There's some, if you want to do a little hiking, there are more waterfalls upstream. 60 campsites. There's a brand new restroom and shower building. Very, very, very swanky. Gitchigami State Trail goes through the park. There's some snowmobile trail goes quickly through the park. There's a nature store, small one, but it's there. There's different items, clothing and things you can buy. The hiking club trail, yeah, we just got that one. That's the east, the Upper Falls. The Temperance River State Park, before it was a state park, there was a CCC camp located there. And for Minnesota, it's historically kind of significant and kind of a sad story. This was a black men only CCC camp. And They were essentially driven off by the locals and they repositioned them down in Missouri somewhere. But there is some of their stonework remaining in the park areas. The Temperance River is really known for this short section of gorge right below the highway bridge. It's very fast, very swift, very dangerous. So there's no swimming involved here because there are some conditions that can trap a body. So we want no swimming there. There's some more of the gorge. Carlton Peak, rising up above Temperance River is Carlton Peak. Great fall color viewing spots. A lot of rock climbing goes on at Carlton Peak. Big core of anorthosite. This is what 3M was mining. One of the spots 3M was mining back when they thought it was something else. There's another fish that that people are after, and that's brook trout. In the upper parts of the Temperance, away from the waterfalls and the gorge and stuff like that, there's some really excellent native brook trout fishing there. There's also a small run of pink salmon that you can watch right from a walking bridge. You can watch them spawning right below your feet if you get there just on the right time in late summer. Any questions about Temperance? There's no bar at Temperance.
Just a comment about Carlton Peak. Carlton was a 3M geologist who was attempting to find corundum for sandpaper, and that's where the name comes from, is the geologist at 3M.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for that. Yep. Unfortunately, he was wrong, and it was the wrong kind of rock. All right. Now, Cascade River State Park. Next one up the shore. It's about 5,000 acres in size. It was established in 1957, at the same time that Temperance River State Park was established. And there was also a CCC camp here at Cascade River. There's 41 car campsites, 5 backpack sites, 2 large group sites. The hiking club trail is Lookout Mountain Loop, 3.5 miles long. There is a small nature store that's last I heard was still closed because of the pandemic, but maybe it'll open this summer. There's the Cascades. It's a waterfall lovers park, like a lot of these parks are. There's one waterfall right off of Highway 61 that's super easy to get to and to see, and it's just gorgeous. A lot of hiking. Yeah, that's terrain, up hills. The park manager there claims that Cascade has the best ski trails on the North Shore. So if you're a skier and you haven't been to Cascade River State Park, you're going to find some good trails there if you go there. He's pretty proud of them. And they also have snowshoe rentals when their store is open. That's a view along the shoreline of Cascade River. A lot of these state parks you can forage for mushrooms in. It is legal to take mushrooms because they are the fruiting body in the same way you can pick a blueberry or a raspberry, and for personal consumption only. But there are some fun mushrooms up here to find that are edible, and some that you can't eat that are also quite gorgeous. Wide diversity of wildflowers at our North Shore State Parks. Any questions about Cascade?
We do. Deb, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, this is more to do with Tettegouche, but I'm wondering about the campground sites that are on the Baptism River up in the Finland community area. Are those under the umbrella of Tettegouche, or are those not state park land?
They are state forest campgrounds that Tettegouche manages.
Okay.
So it's I kind of look at it as our overflow parking or overflow camping.
Okay.
The state parks on the North Shore fill up within minutes of them opening every day. And so there are not a lot of spontaneous sort of opportunities for that. But if you can find some of these state forest campgrounds. They're cheaper. There's no electricity at them. You get water out of a pump. There's pit toilets, that kind of thing, but it's old school camping and a lot of opportunity at Ekbeck and Finland State Forest campgrounds.
Okay, thank you, Kurt.
You're welcome. All right. Getting pretty far up the shore now. Here we're at Judge Magney State Park. Just over 4,600 acres, established in 1957. Before it was called Judge Magney State Park, it was called Brule River State Park, and it was named for Judge Magney. He was a champion of North Shore State Parks. He was known to buy really cool pieces of property and hold on to them until he could convince the state to make a park out of them, and then he would sell it to him at cost. We wouldn't have our North Shore Park system right now if it was not for him. There was a CCC camp here as well. 27 campsites. The Brule River, which is gorgeous, goes right through it. It's a bigger river. The hiking club trail is a Devil's Kettle Falls. 2 miles, very challenging trail. Lots of hill and stairs and that kind of stuff, but it's well worth the hike. This is just some imagery along the way. And here is the Devil's Kettle itself. Now, if you look at the picture of that waterfall, you've got that stream on the right-hand side coming down and splashing into the pool down below. And you've got a split off little section of it on the left that drops down into a hole and disappears. And for decades, people have been trying to find out where is that water going. And there was some thought there was an ancient lava tube underground that was bringing that water all the way out into Lake Superior or right into our groundwater supply or something like that. Some reporter back in the 70s dropped a box of ping pong balls down there to try and figure out where they went to, and they never showed up. But recently, someone got very basic, and they measured the amount of water flowing below the falls and the amount of water flowing above the falls and found out it was equal. So they poured some safe dye material down this hole, and lo and behold, it came up in this pool. So I love a good mystery, but that one's been solved. Here's a closer up view of it. Brule River is known for its steelhead and salmon fishing. A lot of the elite anglers, the fly fishermen and women, like to fish salmon and in the summer trout in the Brule River. There's a monument to Judge C.R. Magney at the park there. It's a good time to ask if there's any questions. All right. We're going to hit our last state park, Grand Portage State Park. It's a very cool, it was started in 1994, 278 acres, and it's a partnership between the state of Minnesota, the DNR, and the Grand Portage tribe. So the employees there are all tribal members. And so it's a hybrid operation. It seems to work very well. The visitor center is and the park itself are uniquely focused on native life and traditions. 278 acres. The hiking club trail is the High Falls Trail. It's an easy trip. It's accessible. It's a blacktop, mostly blacktop trail. 1 mile round trip. Those falls have a 120-foot drop, so that's almost twice as high as our high falls at Tettegouche. The other side of the river is Canada, and you can see the border crossing, the official border crossing to drive into Canada right from the parking lot. There's a nature store, but they don't have any camping at Grand Portage State Park. The High Falls, people come there for, and then they see lots of other things as well. This is during a drought. Barely trickling. Just some really fun pictures of them. The visitor center is quite beautiful. You see there, you're welcome to Minnesota, because that's right at the border. I'm going to show you this picture and then this picture, same building. This was taken by the then park manager, Rick Nowitzki. Just a moose wandering through the front yard. The entryway of the visitor center looks like this. And there's symbolism built in all of this. The different clans of the Ojibwa are around this circle here. They have the turtle with the 13 moons on the back, showing the 13 seasons of the year, or 13 months of the year, 13 cycles of the moon. Their visitor center inside, there's just lots of really cool historical artifacts, modern reproductions, modern crafts, lots of information about the Ojibwa way of life. There are naturalist programs offered at Grand Portage State Park, usually focusing on tribal sorts of topics. And I just want to ask, would this be the end of the road or just the beginning of the road?
Oh, gorgeous.
Any questions on Grand Portage?
Thumbs up.
Go ahead, Morris.
Just a comment. One of our Travis Nowitzki is one of the staff at that park. He's one of my favorite photographers. And our Silver Bay Arts, the Northern Lake County Arts Board has been taking kids up to that park every spring to see the falls and also to get a little bit of an introduction to the native, the native culture up there. And Travis does show some of his photography up there. Good experience. A lot of these fourth graders have not been north of Silver Bay in some cases, and Grand Marais, hardly any of them been north of Grand Marais. So making the Canadian border is a big deal for fourth graders.
No.
Thanks a lot, Kurt. That was really great. I don't know about you, but it got my itch going to do a little adventuring along our North Shore. I'll just throw a plug out there. The library, the DNR has given the library 2 state park passes for local residents. So if you live in the Finland, Beaver Bay, Silver Bay area, you can come and check out a pass for free for 7 days. So if you need a pass to help with your adventures, stop on in. And a huge thanks to Kurt. Kurt, thanks for taking the time this evening to take us on this adventure. Good evening, everyone. Oops, Kurt, you're muted.
I was muted. All right. So Jenna asked, who would you recommend I chat with at each park when I find accessibility needs? I would talk to the park manager. I think just go right to the park manager and just say, this could be improved, or you're really missing out on this, or stuff like that. It's nice to get that feedback. It is state government and things move slowly. Hopefully things can get fixed faster than that. It's a priority for us to try and make things accessible. But oftentimes we miss on that. Excellent. Thanks, Jenna.
All right, we'll send the link out with the recording. Thanks for joining us this evening, and we'll see y'all at our next program.
See you at the park.